Hey you, what are you doing out there? You're looking at me with a puzzling stare. Though I'm not as professional as most channels go, I'd like to welcome you to my show. I'm Sandy Allen, the charismatic host, talking about weird media that interests me the most. So hang on to your seats and don't get too drunk. I've got distant cassettes you've probably thrown in the junk. To keep you waiting any longer, that would be a sin. This is the Sandy Allen Show, so let's begin right now.
Do you mean a rat? What's the matter with you?
You can talk! That's even worse! Mum, get the rat poison!
Hey, don't you remember who I am?
No?
Well, I do know who you are. You're one of my #1 fans. Apparently you had all the books and videos and DVDs.
Hold on a minute. Maisie Mouse? My childhood icon? Come and let me caress your giant nose so that I know that it's really you.
There's no chance of your doing that.
Has there been a more iconic human-sized rodent since Mickey? Maisie Mouse was created by Lucy Cousins and first appeared in print in the 90s. The books focus on the adventures of Maisie the Mouse, Tallulah the Hen, Charlie the Crocodile, Cyril the Squirrel and Eddie the Elephant. They eventually became so popular that they simply had to be adapted for television, narrated by Bob the Builder himself, Neil Morrissey, and in the American dub, a theoretical physicist named Brian Greene. Bit of a weird choice, I don't really associate you with quantum physics.
Funny you should say that, because that actually inspired me to do what I do now. Long after my career on telly ended, I did a Brian May and took a degree in astrophysics. And then I tried to apply for NASA, and they told me that they don't take rodents. Racists.
It began on CITV in 2000, also being shown on Nick Jr. in the US, and even though it only ran for 22 months, with 108 episodes plus a direct-to-video clip show, it was a huge hit with its young audience, so much that it actually won at the Children's BAFTAs.
Beating off fierce competition from the equally badass Hilltop Hospital, Kipper and 64 Zoo Lane.
This show actually plays a key role in my first memory. I was sitting on my mother's lap watching it on CITV, and then seeing the two presenters, Danielle Nichols, and Stephen Mulhern.
What do you mean, fwa?
Well, she was my first crush.
Your first crush? You were still a baby.
I know, but is it my fault how attractive she is? I mean, she's double my age now, but still as gorgeous. I've actually had these DVDs for basically my whole life. I loved them so much that I refused to get rid of them, and I'm glad I didn't. The episodes are all 5 minutes long and mostly focus on real-world stories with very little filler added in. The characters do not actually speak proper words, but the narrator does. Clever, but still quite weird. Okay, Maisie, for the sake of my nostalgia and for the sake of your vanity, let's get to watching this.
Maisie, 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 Maisie. Maisie, Maisie Mouse.
It has a very short yet very creative intro in which Maisie paints a picture of something relating to the episode. Quite the artistic talent you got there.
Yeah, and it's a shame they never let me keep any of those pictures.
The first DVD I'm going to talk about Colours and Counting has some of my favourite episodes, like this one called Hide and Seek. Maisie, Charlie and Tallulah play a game of hide and seek, no surprises there. After the first round is finished, when Maisie finds them, it's Tallulah's turn to look for the other two. Maisie decides to hide in some grass, but we don't see where Charlie's going, even though he comes with her. Tallulah then finds Maisie, and they both go off to look for Charlie. If you've been paying attention to what Charlie was wearing, you probably figured out what the ending joke was. Charlie, of course, hides in a bush that just so happens to have pink flowers. Exactly like the pattern on his clothes. Now here's the part where I'd like to talk about the music and sound. For the most part, the music is very simple, influenced by reggae and ska of all things, and it's almost always in the key of G major. And as someone who plays guitar, I can tell you that G major is a very easy key to work with. A lot of the music also follows perhaps the most basic chord sequence of them all. G, C, D, and then back to G, like this. And sometimes they'd even use well-known nursery rhymes as little motifs that they'd throw in the background music, if you see what I mean. And if the sound effects sound kind of weird to you, they're provided by a comic duo called the Umbilical Brothers. Do look them up, they're very clever. They make sounds using only their mouths. In the episode Clouds, we even get this little exchange between Maisie and Neil.
Hello, Maisie. Where are you going today? Up in the sky? But I can see your picnic basket. You're going to have a picnic. Up in the sky?
When we were filming that, I tried my best to stifle a laugh because of the way he sounded like he thought I was absolutely crackers.
And this one has some very wholesome and creative moments, like here when they pass a cloud in the balloon and Charlie tries to touch it. And the sound that Charlie makes when he's eating his sandwich made me giggle a bit.
Time for your picnic.
In the episode Shed, Eddie helps Maisie give her shed a new coat of paint. Although it's quite unfortunate that she gave him the red paint because he now looks like his face is covered with blood. But instead of trying to flee the crime scene, the sick bastard decides to spread it everywhere.
I also like how in this and a few other episodes, Maisie uses her tail as a sort of third arm.
In Stick, Maisie and Tallulah discover the many creative uses of a seemingly useless stick. And I think that's excellent. It sort of helps kids open their minds a little bit to the world around them. Also, you can't tell me that sound wasn't made using a real bucket, it just sounds so convincing. And one of the most famous episodes, Train, has Maisie driving a train and picking up increasing numbers of various different passengers. Not much of a story, but it still kind of works in this case. Also, I must commend the animators here. They have very creative ways of making these animals move around. I especially love the way the snakes make themselves into circles and roll about rather than just going the easy route and slithering. And even though this is a British show by creation, it claims to have been produced in Prague of all places.
Which explains why a lot of the names in the credits end with over.
Maisie's ABC, which according to the cover is immensely proud of itself for having never been seen on TV. I mean, just look at that, it's wearing it like a freaking badge of honour! Is basically a Best of Maisie Mouse clip show in all but name, as it takes clips from various episodes with a little bit of editing here and there, and mashes them together to create a sort of alphabet. There's also one part in the programme that makes me say I'm A for A, B for bit, C for cross, and once I've pointed it out, I guarantee you'll never miss it again. In the segment for the letter X, they do this.
Tallulah is very excited. X isn't excited. Excuse me, Tallulah. Excuse me. X is an excuse me too.
But they seem to ignore how Eddie is playing a xylophone. There's not really much to say about this, as you can tell, but hey, at least it held my attention, as I could, for the most part, tell you what episodes these clips were taken from. So it seems Maisie's alphabet book isn't really an alphabet book at all, but rather a photo album, except it's not a photo album because it's got videos as well as photos, so this was kind of like Instagram before Instagram. Hold on. does this mean you were the original Instagram influencer?
Well, if what you're on about is anything to go by, then I guess I've influenced you.
And now here's my favourite, Maisie's Farm. This one's my favourite purely because of how much content it had. Episodes, games, songs, and best of all, an instruction booklet! Because who doesn't love being told what to do? Joking aside, this is a great addition to A Toddler's First DVD. It explains everything completely straightforwardly to little Peter who can't do technology very well. By the way, can someone tell me why this copyright notice is in rather threatening looking quotation marks? Compared to the other DVDs, this one has a rather unusual main menu, sort of looking like an old Flash game. For starters, they just play an instrumental version of the theme tune on a loop, and we see an animation of Maisie chilling in her tractor with something black. Is that meant to be a kitten or something? Because it looks like a Dementor. And anyway, she's a mouse. There's no reason for her to be driving around with a cat. It'll rip her intestines out. Just a quick question, Maisie. How old are you?
You rude bastard. You don't dare ask a woman her age like that.
Well, I'm sorry, but there's just no clues as to how old you are. Not even in mouse years. I mean, you live on your own, you drive planes, trains and automobiles, and apparently you're preschool age?
Well, the thing is, it's actually all to do with us using our imagination. The creators have stated that the show promotes independence, curiosity, and a confident approach to life.
Yeah, but I think hijacking a train is quite a loose definition of independence. But whatever, let's just watch this DVD and get some good old nostalgia going. This DVD contains 4 special episodes that all tie into one story all about the 4 seasons. First up, Spring. We meet Maisie working on the farm, cleaning out pig shit, and then Tallulah comes over making a racket for absolutely no reason at all.
That's right, Tallulah. The horse has had a baby too. A foal. Oh, Tallulah, shush.
Why did you say that in the way you did, Morrissey from the Smiths?
Where's Maisie gone, Tallulah? She's not in the pigsty. She's not with the chicks.
Also, Tallulah's a hen. Should she not be in that coop with the rest of them?
Ah, there you are, Maisie. Oh dear. The crows are eating the seeds you just planted.
Yeah, it doesn't really make much sense that they use Sing a Song of Sixpence as a motif there. I mean, that song's about blackbirds and Neil just said those were crows.
Don't worry, Tallulah. The crows are eating Maisie's seed. So this time, you do need to scare them away.
Well, it seems that Tallulah being a loudmouth little shit does come in handy sometimes.
Loudmouthed is a bit of an understatement.
I mean, you know her better than me. Maisie then has an idea to make a scarecrow, which doesn't work at first until Tallulah puts her cardigan on it. And then leaves it there. Now for the summer episode.
It's summer on the farm now. Look how big the lambs have grown. The foal's grown bigger too.
No, it bloody hasn't. It stayed the same size it was in the spring episode. Maisie gives the pigs some water to drink / bathe / urinate in. Then Ellie comes along and starts messing around with the piglets. When Maisie asks if he wants to come with her, Eddie changes his mind and follows after her, and in doing so accidentally breaks the fence. Later, Charlie and Tallulah come and help Maisie pick strawberries. And this is where I must give credit to Neil Morrissey, because he just has excellent delivery on certain lines.
But Charlie's bucket is empty. I wonder why. Charlie.
I understand this is a preschool show and I'm not allowed to call you a greedy fuck. But my god, you are a greedy fuck.
What's that in your bucket, Maisie? Oh, it's a piglet. And the pig wants Eddie's strawberries. The pigs like strawberries. Oh, but they shouldn't be there.
Ah yes, the pigs are eating the gang's strawberries. Hold on a minute, where did they come from? The gang discover how the pigs escaped their pen, and Eddie apologises to Maisie for breaking the fence. And I think this animation is quite cute too, the way the piglet is cuddling Eddie's trunk. So this episode has a happy ending. Maisie fixes the fence and everything's back to normal. Now for autumn. Maisie is working in the fields when her friends come to help her. All of them except Eddie, who appears to be too busy picking apples. While Cyril and Tallulah dig up some potatoes, Maisie,
I've got a brand new conveyor harvester and I'll give you the key.
Neil even explains to the kids watching how these vehicles work and how important they are.
The grain is going to be ground into flour to make bread and cakes and biscuits. And the straw is going to be made into bales. Oh, what's that, Maisie? It's Charlie with the baler. He's making the straw into bales.
I've never heard so much excitement coming from a guy driving a baler of all things. When it looks as though the weather's about to turn, Maisie decides to get all the bales of hay into the shed. There's only one problem. The tractor's broken down and Eddie's still in the orchard.
Oh dear, what's wrong, Maisie? Has the tractor broken down?
These sound effects are bloody genius. After Eddie helps to push the bales of hay into the shed, it turns out that it doesn't rain after all. Finally winter, as narrator Neil says himself.
I suppose there's not so much to do on the farm in winter.
And he's right, there's not much happens in this episode. Maisie just brings the animals into the barn and out of the cold. But it turns out they've lost one of the cows in the snow and bring her back in with all the others. As for the other episodes, they're pretty good. Nothing much happens in most of them, although they did actually hold my attention as a baby, something that I found programmes like Thomas the Tank Engine couldn't do. In Duckling, Maisie and her friends go to the park and make an unexpected friend, and it's all very sweet. Though Charlie, being of the greedy sort, can't resist having a bit of the duck's bread for himself. In Breakfast, Maisie returns to the farm, giving all the animals, plus herself, their breakfast, clues in the name really, and I did kinda like this joke here.
Good morning, Maisie.
Later on in the episode,
Eat grain. Good morning, chickens. It's time for your breakfast.
Oi, rat, you nearly ran me over earlier. Gimme food.
In Toot Toot, Maisie takes her friends for a ride on a train, apparently around the world. They stop for a bit in a desert, which is next door to the North Pole, which is next door to a mountain range, which is next door to a forest, and buy some ice creams to have on the way to wherever it is they go next. Space, probably. Charlie isn't sure what ice cream he'd like, but then, somehow, they spoil their own ending joke by rushing to the punchline so quickly. Charlie buys 3 ice creams for himself.
Well, all the episodes had to be 5 minutes long, and if you consider that most of these episodes take place in just one day, Charlie probably took about a minute deciding what ice cream he'd like.
If that's the case, then they must have taken that 5-minute rule very seriously. Exactly 5 minutes, no more, no less. If it's 5 minutes, 1 second, you're fired. If it's 4:59, you're fired. In Shopping, Maisie comes to Charlie's house for lunch, only to discover that he's run out of food. They go to their supermarket and buy some food, and not much else happens. In Bugs, Maisie and Charlie discover some insects and the different sounds they make while relaxing in the park. Although I'm surprised that neither of them get seriously ill because there's a mosquito among them. Like, seriously, what country did this take place in? And finally, in Mountain, Maisie and her friends, surprise surprise, climb up a mountain that changes colour depending on where they are. And Eddie has a white flag in case he wants to end it all. They climb over a big poo, then Eddie runs out of energy. Not waving his white flag for some reason. I mean, come on ITV, that joke was staring you in the face. So they all stop for a drink. They meet a mountain goat who shows them the way to the top by hopping across more poos. Yeah, I know, they're rocks, but they've just got an unfortunate colour and shape. Okay, that's the episode's done. Let's look at the extras now. We've got some songs, a trailer, and some mini-games. Let's look at the songs first. Sing along to some banging tunes. You never did release a single, did you?
No, but I'd have liked to, and I had the right man for the job in Neil Morrissey. He knows a thing or two about topping the charts, just ask Bob the Builder.
Alright, which song shall we sing first?
At number 16, it's down 8 places for Maisie in a Dress. At number 15, down 6 places, it's Charlie Doing Nothing. At number 14, down 3 places, it's Look at My Toy Truck. At number 13, it's a re-entry for House, falling out of the top 10 by 5 places. At number 12, it's I've Got a Balloon. Also leaving the top 10, down 7 places from last week, it's Bus. At number 10, it's a non-mover for Strip Your Clothes Off. At number 9, it's a new entry for You Can Stand Under My Umbrella. Ella, Ella, ay, ay. At number 8, down 3 places for Maisie with Panda. At number 7, it's a new entry for Maisie with Panda, but she's sitting down and she's got the colours of her clothes switched around. At number 6, it's a non-mover for I'm on a Train. At number 5, it's down 2 places for... oh, come on, Maisie, you could at least go back indoors, there's a toilet there. At number 4, also down 2 places, it's Look at My Hat, it is a nice hat. At number 3, it's last week's number 1, I Want to Shag You in a Rowing Boat. At number 2, it's a new entry for I'm gonna shove this paintbrush up your ass. And at number 1, it's a new entry for the Dungarees song.
No, they're mostly just traditional nursery rhymes with a few new songs written for the show here and there. First up is a rewrite of Old MacDonald called Maisie Had a Farm, and I think that's all the explanation you need. Track 2 is a more produced and extended version of the theme song with a rather I'm not sure I want to look at this bit where Maisie's naked in the bath. Seriously? Track 3 is the traditional version of Row 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 Your Boat, but in the accompanying video, Charlie plays a trick on Maisie by hiding in a rowing boat and jumping out at her on the line. It's actually quite funny. Track 4 is a very funky sounding version of Oats and Beans and Barley Grow.
Oats and beans and barley grow. Oats and beans and barley grow. Do you or I or anyone know how oats and beans and barley grow?
Track 5 is Here We Go Round the Mulberry Bush. It's nothing special though. Track 6 is I Had a Little Engine, another quite boring song with boring lyrics. Track 7 is Maisie Theme, Taylor's version. Oh, sorry, I meant Panda's version. This is just a rewrite of the theme song, but about Panda this time. Track 8 is Poor Poor Panda, another boring one. Track 9 is a new one, Drip Drip Drop, a rather good song about rainy days. Track 10 is That Thing They Call Elastic, a song which extols the virtues of trouser elastic of all things. I didn't think you could write such a catchy song about something so mundane.
Very easy to do buttons. It isn't very easy tying strings. So my favorite kind of clothes, as everybody knows, are the kind that have that.
The singer of this one sounds like
He's holding his nose as well as doing a really bad American accent.
Also, why the hell didn't they rhyme it with fantastic? Track 11 is The Wheels on the Bus. Again, nothing too special, but it does have a killer guitar solo before the last verse.
And I also quite like the way the singer says the last all day long. He's saying it like they've been condemned to bouncing on their seats until the end of time.
Track 12 is my favourite, a very infectious and energetic rock and roll song called Run! The only thing I don't like about it is that it's not very easy to hear the words because the characters are just making too much noise over it. Like, I get it, it's fun to run up and down a hill, but could you very kindly zip it and let me hear this damn song?
Make a sentence out of the following words. Face sodding, you're shut.
For instance, listen to this. I don't know if you can hear this very well, but after a few listens, I could just make out that they were saying up, 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 up the hill, hill, hill. But the lyrics that are written on the bottom of the screen incorrectly read, "You're the king of the hill." But that's only the first time that that verse is sung. From that bit onward, they just assume they're singing the word up 8 times. Track 13 is What Shall We Do When We All Go Out? A slightly more relaxed song about going outdoors. Track 14 is called I Like Trucks, another boring one.
You seen the crane that reaches up so high, lifting up its...
Track 15 is a jaunty little ditty called Walk Along Charlie, and it's pretty good for what it is, and what it is lyrically is a rip-off of an Elvis song.
Come on, Charlie, here's your talk. Join hands and let's go walking.
Also, I can't help noticing that they've misspelled Charlie's name. The more common spelling you come across is with an IE, but in the case of this character it's spelled with an EY. And in the third verse, the lyrics say come along, when the singer is clearly saying walk along. And finally, track 16. They finish off with another boring one. Maisie wore a red dress. Again, nothing stands out except when Maisie strips off, not for the first time though. Here's the trailer now with some sound effects that are very uncharacteristic of this show.
We're crazy for Maisie.
Now let's play some games. Hide and seek. Find Maisie as she plays hide and seek in the farmyard. Select the place where you think that Maisie is hiding, then press enter. We press play and suddenly Maisie's full of energy. Oh, someone's had their Weetabix today. What you do is you go over to the place you hid, press enter, and that's it. But if you get it wrong, they will let you know.
Although you could close your eyes to make it that little bit more challenging.
Dress Maisie. Dress Maisie for a party, for the farm, or for the rain. Choose the clothes you think she should wear, then press enter to see if you're right. What would you expect from a dressing up game on a DVD? Something like those games that you see online? Not a chance! You're given 3 situations to pick from, and there is a both obvious and boring solution to each one. You're then given a choice of 3 different things to wear, and you have to pick the most sensible one. Ugh.
Like, where's the fun in that? And who says you can't go out in the rain dressed as a pirate?
And if Maisie doesn't like your selection, she will make her opinion very clear. Spot the difference. The picture on the right is different to the picture on the left. Find 4 differences, then press DING to see the answers. This is a very straightforward game of spot the difference. The only problem is, they give you the same picture every time. And what's the point in pressing DING if you've already figured out the answers yourself? Farmyard sounds. What noise does each animal make? Press enter to see if you're right. And all you do is press the pictures and they make the noise for you. This is barely a game at all. Let's count 1 to 10. Match the correct number to the picture. To see if you're right, press enter. And that's all I need to say. Every time you get the question right, they play this short clip of Maisie. Just in case you were wondering, it came from the episode Dog, in which Maisie loses her toy boat in the middle of a pond and a clever little dog helps her get it out. Print out pictures. Put the DVD into the DVD-ROM drive of your PC and you'll be able to print out 2 Maisie pictures to colour in. Your PC will need to be connected to a printer. annoying that I don't have any felt tip pens that work. These are all running out of ink. Well, except maybe this one. Can't be fucked to colour the whole thing in. I'll just leave some bits white. Oh, I could colour in the border. Stupid wind. And he blew my artwork off the table. Whatever. Just all these like that. Basically, I should be banned from using kids' colouring books. Whew! Wow, would you look at the time, Maisie? We've been talking for hours.
Well, thanks for having me.
No, thank you for coming. Your programme was an integral part of my childhood. Which makes me wonder, do you ever get embarrassed that even today kids are still watching videos of you when you were a baby?
Not at all. When this show was at its peak in popularity, I was earning a £20,000 salary, but I barely knew how to count to 20,000 or even spell ITV. And you may not think it, but I've grown up with you in the way that you've grown up with me. And I think it's absolutely lovely that kids today are still watching my show. I feel so lucky to have been part of so many childhoods, and I hope to be part of many more. I feel, quite honestly, that I'm one of the luckiest mice alive.
Do you know, that's the best answer that a mouse could possibly give. Well, I think it's time for me and Maisie to say goodbye for now. But if you like what you see, don't forget to share it around, and I'll see you in the next video.
It's only 8 o'clock, but you're already bored. You don't know what it is, but there's got to be more. Better find a way out. Hey, kick down that door. It's a rat trap, and you've been caught.
Yes, I know, I'm acting very silly. I know, Doggy. You're sitting on my foot. We could be here all day, dog. Hold on a minute. Do you ever shut up? Hold on a minute. Maisie Mouse, my childhood icon, come and let me caress your giant nose so that I know it's really you. No, wait, that didn't sound very good. Should I do it more Shakespearean? Cometh and let me caress thy giant, enormous, huge nose so that I know 'tis truly thee. What are you doing, you stupid dog?
What is she doing?
Are you trying to catch Maisie? I don't think she wants to be torn apart.
Is she looking at her?
Yes.
That's not your toy.
No, it isn't. Why are you following me? Do you like the camera? Do you like being on camera? Yes, you can play with that toy, but not mine. Good girl. Good girl.
That's your own version. Very oak, mate.
Ridiculous animal. I know I said I'm going to do it with my eyes closed, but I changed my mind, because if I did it with my eyes closed, you probably wouldn't believe me. Even if they were closed really tight, because you probably only see the back of my head. And so instead, I'm going to put this on. No, it's not a bra. It's a sleep mask with a Bluetooth attachment. So it's just to prove to you that I am not telling any porkies. Oh, but now I can't see them. All right, let's go. Let's play this game. Fuck, this is tricky. Oh, did I find her? Okay, good. I'm gonna try it again. Let's do this. Okay. No, that was wrong. That was wrong. Did I find her? I couldn't hear her. I couldn't hear the sound. Hold on. Where am I? Okay, good. Yeah, she's gone for another run. All right. Nope, she's not there. Well, it's just... well, it's a 1 in 4 chance that I'm going to get it. Why am I doing this to myself? God, I'm awful at this! Oh no, I got 4 wrong! Does that mean she's not there at all? She didn't even hide? Oh, fuck off. Did I find her? Did I do it? Did I do it? Hold on. Alright, oh, what the... Ah, good. She's gone for another... Alright. No, okay, so she's not there. Let's try this one. And just to be clear, just to remind you, I cannot see a thing. I mean, it's a good sleep mask. It's doing its job well. Why am I doing this to myself? Ugh. Alright, let's see if I can find her. Oh! I got it right on the first go! I think that'd probably be my signal to stop there.